Okay guys, we're going to go through the initial setup to get your puzzle box drawing started. So I'm going to go in and go to create. You're going to create your new document. Now you're obviously not going to have any of those folders there, but that's okay. So you're going to change that so it's your puzzle box. And hopefully if we can have our name on there somewhere, that'll make life a bit easier as well. So I've created my document. If you've already created it, we can always change the name after we get going as well. So if I wanted to change the name, I can literally go up here and just add my last name, or in your case, you're going to put your first name on there. Now we're just going to focus on the top view. So I'm going to hide the front and the right over here. And then I'm going to go in and start by doing my sketch. So I'm going to do the sketch on the top view. Now I can just press N, and that's going to take me to the face that I'm in, or I could use the little view over here. So I could go to the isometric, which resets, or I just click on the top and then I'm there. Another really handy one if you don't have a scroll and trying to zoom with your trackpad is going to the zoom to fit, which will reset back to what basically everything you've drawn. So I've got that set up. Now the first thing I want to be able to draw is my actual the external size of the box. Now at the moment I'm locking it in, so I could use either one. I'm going to go corner rectangle, but I could use the center, and I'm going to draw that out. Now 93 is the dimension I'm looking for. Now I could add the dimension on now as well and put that straight in. Or if I leave that like that, I'm going to hit escape to get off the rectangle tool. And I'm going to go in and go, now if you don't have these at the same size and yours looks more like that, you can see you've got them all here. If you minus that out, you get to see your extra options there as well. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to select the equals. So this constraint will basically say I want this side to be equal to that side, which then gives me my square. Zoom to fit, and it's brought me back there. So I've got now my rectangle ready to go. Oh, my square ready to go. Now there's something else that I'm going to need to do. So if you remember, our boxes have the little step in, be able to slot those in. So I'm going to go construction, and I'm going to go offset. So this offset, I'm going to click on the lines here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to bring that in. Now I'm going to zoom in there and I'm going to change that number so that it is now, I want it to be 6 mils. So now what that gives me is my working space for my drawing. So if I do anything inside that 6 mils around there, it's going to be hidden and not gonna work. So that's now almost ready to go. I'm going to hide that top view now that I've got that sketch there. And remember, if I tick off that sketch, I can't edit my sketch now. I need to be able to either double click on him and it brings me back into it. So as long as I've got this little box up here, I can edit and work on my design. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude it so that when I exit the sketch, I can see what my perspex or piece looks like. So I'm going to go to this guy up here. I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to change the depth to being 3 millimeters. And that's it. And I hit tick. And now you can see my rectangle has depth. But at the moment, that's probably not enough because I need some detail to it. So I'm going to go in and edit that now. And if I start adding detail to that, so if I do that hole like that, and I do that hole like that, and I exit it again, you should see those holes automatically get created. So that's what our piece is going to look like. So what we need to think about, and I don't want to create a second sketch, I want to go back into that same sketch. Okay, so what I want to think about is for my design, I can't just do a single line. That's not going to do anything, because if I exit that sketch, that doesn't do anything to it. So if I want to be able to have a line through there, I need to make sure that there's some depth. So I'm going to drop those in through there. Now, there's a few things I can do to that line now. So at the moment, those two, I might want to be parallel, which is then going to square those up. Those two are already horizontal, which is okay, so I can make them parallel as well. And then I can add some dimensions. So if I want this to be a little track for it to roll on, I can choose a distance. Let's say I'll make it 5, it's going to go smaller, 25, a bit longer. And then if I want to choose that one there, if I wanted to be able to sit in that and be able to roll along, I would go to 3mm. If I want it to be able to fall through that, I would make another one. I might just do a rectangle this time. And I'm going to make that, let's go 30 this time. And I'm going to make that 7. Dimensions, and make that one 7. So that's going to then make the ball bearing fall through that. So if I exit out of that now, we can see now those pieces have been cut away. So when I go to actually design and draw up my shape, I need to make sure that each of my parts are how I want them to be. Whether I want it to be just a really small line to be able to see there, I could go down to even just 1 for that, and you could just cut out that so it sort of gives the detail, but it doesn't really impact how it rolls. So I could do something like that. Now, when it comes to designing your shape, at the moment, you can see I've got that rectangle set up, but he's locked in and he doesn't move around. You've got this aligned rectangle, so if I want to do something like that, I could actually then do it on an angle as well. So you've got a few options on how you design that one. So if I want to make those on a specific angle, I can go back to my dimension, and I might go, all right, well, I want that to be from that angle and be on a 35-degree angle. So I can sort of start constraining a little bit of these lines as I go as well. And remember, you can use the construction lines to create mirrors and that sort of stuff if you're doing things as well. So that's a really nice starting point, and we can always go through and remove stuff out. So the trim, I'm going to cut everything back off because I don't need that for my design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop talking for a second, and I'm going to whip together a little basketball court as my design and how I would do that. So I've started drawing up my half court here. Now you can see a few of the things that I've done here are going to work quite well, but there's a few that are going to not work effectively. So have a think about which ones you think are going to work and aren't, and I'm going to hit that tick and we'll have a see what comes through. So you can see what's left on what I've done, which probably isn't what I need to see, is it? So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to adjust a few of these things. So for the outside of the keyway here, I'm going to use a quick little offset. So I want to be able to take that line, and that one, and I'm going to bring that in about, I want to make that one 3mm. And then this one up here, I might just leave him so he's connected like that. It's going to be a cutout there. Now that bottom line I want to trim off so I can get my circle through there. Now this arc didn't go through because it wasn't connected. So again, I'm going to have to line those up, line that up so it actually closes. So now if I have a look at what that sketch goes, I get the parts that I want. So for this one here, I'm basically trying to get the ball bearing sitting on that one there. Now, there's a few things that I can do to make this a little bit neater and tidy this up. So we notice that all of these lines around the side, I can actually, if I select on the end parts there, so 1, 2, I've got the offset there, I'm going to do this 1, 3, and 4. I'm going to make these all equal. And then if I do one dimension, so I'm going to do a dimension just on that guy, and I'm going to make them, let's go 7 mils, and that's going to be quite fat, but that means they're going to be able to fall through if I want them to. If I go, all right, I'm just going to go down to 3, then they all change, so they stay the same. So I might leave those for the moment. So the only places I can drop down at that one, and the big half court there. So there's a few other things I can do to make this a little bit better as well. So I'm going to select that one, and if I go coincident, it's going to pull it up. I'm going to select that one, and go coincident, and it's going to line those up. So I can kind of set lines up so that they match with each other using some of these features. And he's not going to like me with that one. So trying to set up, that's already tried to line up somewhere. Yeah. So if there's things that you can see, so that coincidence already there, I can delete that off and line him up with that one. No, still not happy. So there's a few little things that you need to be able to check with. So perpendicular, I use parallel with someone. So let's remove that parallel. I think that's going to be it. So now I can, oh no, I can still change that one. So playing with each of those settings as I go through allows me to set it up. If I then go and add a dimension here, I can then say how much of a gap I want there. So I can make that, all right, let's make that a 4mm gap. So there's some space. You can start then defining all the parts that I want to be able to be dimensioned and where the middles are. So if I go onto this guy, I can find there, and I can sort of add him to the middle by adding that split line through again. So if I go to a line here, I've got my construction line, hover over to find that middle point, there he is, put that through, so I can make sure everything's nicely centered, and then connect him up with that, so we can see he can go on that, make him coincident there, and then that's all nicely centered. So I can slowly build it up until I've got what I want. If you don't like those sharp corners, we could always add on either fillets, which are just over here. So if I go in and add a fillet to this guy, I can change that to being a radius of, well, if that's a 3mm line, I might go 1.5, and I can go through and add some nice little fillets so it curves and makes the ends nice and smooth as well. The other thing that I could do with those ones is I could use the circles or a arc on those as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff you could play with to be able to choose how that wants to be as well. So by working with those and trying to break down your shapes and your design into simple curves, the other one that would be really handy if you're trying to do sort of a sustained curve, if I do a arc from there, let's make him somewhere around there, and I'm going to do another one over to here. What you can do, so see how between the two arcs it's a little bit rough. If I select those two, and then there's a really nice one called tangent. Where is he hiding? Where's my tangent? There's my tangent. So that one there basically then allows that to be a nice smooth curve. So I can then move those wherever I want, and they're going to stay a nice clean tangent line. So you can do that with multiple ones. So if I add another curve after that, I can then do the same thing to those next ones as well. So select those two, add the tangent, and then I can keep moving those points around so that they are what I need them to be and they stay nice and smooth. So you can sort of explore and play different curves that keep a nice smooth line. So some of your more organic shapes, that'll be really handy. But I'm going to leave that there, and you guys can continue to explore and design your puzzle boxes up. So the benefit of using OnShape is you can do this anywhere you have internet connection on your computer, so you can keep tinkering and working with this at home as well. Good luck.